Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Get Total Wealth podcast. I'm here with a special guest, John Manis, and I want to explain something very quickly, and then we'll get to him because I want you to hear what he has to say. He has completed the first full circle deal at Total Wealth Academy, and the rate of return is astronomical. He's done an amazing job, but I wanted to talk to him first about how he got into the business. A lot of people look at someone like John and they go, oh, self-storage. You were born in self-storage, weren't you? That's not how it works. You have to decide what you're going to do with your life. You have to figure it out. You have to do a lot of things to pull the information together to be able to do it. And his story is quite compelling. So, John, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for coming.
Thanks, Steve. Good to see you.
Good to see you. If you would, tell them a little bit about your experience in corporate America and how you ended up as a sponsor / syndicator for self-storage.
Well, pretty simply, I got fired.
So that's the most common story there is.
Not once, but twice. So
twice.
I worked for one of the REITs at one point in storage. Spent 17 years in retail. That was like the most corporate you could possibly get. Then I went to work for a publicly traded company, which is even more corporate. And I was there 5 years, did well, and ended up getting fired and moved on to a regional player here in Houston. Did well there, got fired. And so I always say, I learned how to run them at the REIT, and I learned how to fix them up and buy them at the private company here in Houston. And then a little over 5 years ago, started doing it myself.
I love it. So what gave you the courage to do it by yourself? In other words, most of the people watching this are going, man, I want to do it, but I'm just scared. I'm afraid of this. I'm afraid of that. What gave you the courage?
Well, there's this famous guy by the name of Joe Manis, who's my brother. He's really not that famous. But every time I tell this story, I'm trying to make him famous. The last company I got fired from, I sulked for like 24 hours, and I called my brother Joe and said, Ricky fired me yesterday. And, my brother did what any good brother would do. Most brothers would be like, so what are you going to do? Do you need help? Can I help you financially? All that.
Right.
That's not what my brother did. My brother said, congratulations. And I was like, what? He said, congratulations. This is the biggest moment of your life. You have everything lined up. What are you waiting for? And I thought to myself, what am I waiting for? He said, well, go do it. And he kicked me in the ass, and I went. I was like, all right, here we go.
I love this guy. Well, tell me a little bit about Joe. Is he an entrepreneur or?
So Joe's in the medical field. He sells respiratory equipment, like everything you hear on the news right now. That's what Joe does.
Right.
He's probably the best salesman I know. And he sold me on starting my own company, right?
That's a good point. He sold you on it because that's what has to happen. These people who are afraid, you've got to sell yourself. You got to get leverage on yourself and put so much emphasis on the good things that can come out of it and very little emphasis on the bad things that might happen if you're ever going to take action. So he's in medical sales. Did he ever say he wished he'd got fired?
No, he probably makes $600,000 or $700,000 a year.
I wouldn't want to get fired from that either.
He doesn't want to get fired at this point. He's selling all this respiratory equipment for COVID and everything. So he's kicking some butt right now. But going back to that fear that you're talking about is, for many, many years, for myself personally, the, quote, fear that stood in my way was more of comfort than it was fear. I was comfortable with making a paycheck all the time.
Yeah.
So you have to put yourself in an uncomfortable position to grow, right?
Agreed.
So when I went out and bought my first self-storage property, it put me in a very uncomfortable position. For those of you listening, sign on a $4 million note and see how uncomfortable that makes you feel.
Yes.
Pretty quickly. You got some responsibility, right? If you go out on my first deal, I raised $1.5 million of private equity and signed on a $4 million note. So here I had a responsibility of like $5.5 million to different people. And that makes you man up really, really quickly. There's
it
no
does. And it shows your character. You learn who you are very quickly in a circumstance like that. And then it builds your confidence because you go, man, I did it. I didn't know I could do it. I took the chance and I followed through and did it, and it raises your self-esteem. And next thing you know, you're doing even bigger deals. It is amazing. So tell us a little bit about this full circle deal. You didn't expect it to be done in 1 year.
Well, for them here at Total Wealth, it was actually 9 months.
I know, it's crazy, crazy.
So it wasn't even a full year. So, you know, our goal, we buy undermanaged, underenhanced, underexpanded self-storage properties, or what you know as the mom and pop or the value add. And
Right.
we go in and fix them up, make them pretty, and raise everybody's rent, which adds value to the property, right? Well, the goal all along has been to bundle a bunch of these up and sell them off to a REIT or a high money player.
Sure.
Well, back in January, we did our yearly planning meeting in Cancun, and I literally got in a bold-faced argument with my two partners about not selling.
Okay. Did you want to sell or they wanted to sell?
They wanted to sell,
Okay.
and I didn't. And again, it goes back to character. Is we've built a 15-person home office team. We have 30-some team members in the stores. So there's a big level of responsibility of employing 70-some people, right? So,
Sure.
And then the opportunities that have come to us from starting this company has been, we're part owners of a marketing company. We're part owners of a capital company. We're part owners of a construction company. So it just keeps rippling out. And my argument was, I don't want to put all these people out of business by us going, quote, out of business because we sold.
Right.
And then the market got stupid.
That's the best word for it.
And so a buddy of mine called me and said, hey, you know, he has 18 properties. And he's like, I'm being told by one of the national brokers that, you know, I can get a 4 cap for my properties. And my properties are a lot nicer than his. So I said to myself, well, if you can get a 4, I can get a 3.5, right?
Right.
So, and in reality, I knew he couldn't get a 4, but the reality for us is, well, if I could even get a 4, 4.5, or a 5, that would be a ginormous number. So I went to the Florida Self-Storage Conference, and then I went to the national conference in Nashville, and I started talking to the people I know because I've networked for so long in this industry. So I went to 3 REITs and 3 high money players and ended up getting 3 offers for 14 of our properties.
That is incredible. So how many total properties do you have?
Well, currently right now I only have 17.
Okay.
I sold one in College Station about a month ago,
Okay.
and which would have made 18. In the last 5 years, I've done 27 deals. We've life cycled out of a bunch of those, gone full circle. So right now it's only 17. We're scheduled to close September 9th on 14 of them, which will leave me 3. So here
And
we
then
go. We're going to start all over.
Start
again.
all over. That's what I thought. That was my next question. What are you going to do now? Go back up to 17, 20?
Let's do it again.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit about the numbers. What'd you buy it for? What are you selling it for?
So the deal that I brought to some of the people here in Total Wealth was a 2-property deal. It was in up near Fort Worth, Texas. And we bought the combined 2. We did a unique negotiation on this. Is what we did is we negotiated. They wanted $2.9 million for it. We negotiated $2.4 million, but had them carry back a mortgage and showed them on paper that they would actually get $3.3 million with all the interest, and they
Gotcha.
and they would postpone. They would postpone capital gains. Obviously, that's not playing out right now because we're selling.
They're getting paid.
But in their loan documents, they put in prepayment penalties, and this is all including with those prepayment penalties what the profits were. So originally it was 2.4. If you add in soft cost, fees, all the different things like that, it was probably 2.8.
Okay.
2 of them combined for $2.8 million.
All right.
Okay. So the one by itself is selling for $3.3 million.
By itself.
By
Just
itself.
one of them.
and the other one is selling for $2,050,000.
Wow.
So combined, they're $5,350,000.
Incredible. Incredible. And what is the rate of return that the TWA members are getting?
So if you annualize it.
Yeah, please annualize it.
Well, because it's only 9 months, right?
Right.
The one is 158%, and the other one's 134%.
I'm a knucklehead. You know what I did? I said almost 100% in my marketing material. It's literally 130 and 150%.
You are correct.
Unbelievable in 9 months.
Mm-hmm. So now, for the listeners, to be clear, so we raised like $1.3 million on those two deals combined. They'll get their $1.3 million back, and they'll get an additional $1.2 million back. So
nice.
It's almost 2 times their money in a 9-month time frame.
Wow, that's incredible. So tell me this. Your plan is to just start over. Are you going to take a vacation? What are you going to do for the next month?
Everybody keeps asking me that. That's funny. That's a great question. So I was teasing everybody in the office today, and I said, because Robbie, my business partner, Robbie Dunn's actually on vacation right now. He's with his kids in Disney in Florida, and they were all talking about him being on vacation. I said, well, my vacation starts September 10th, and they all start laughing. So obviously we got to unwind everything afterwards, right? You gotta
bookkeeping.
Yeah, you got to do all the bookkeeping and pay everybody back and make sure everything's accurate and all that kind of stuff. So you're probably looking 30, 60 days to unwind that alone. For myself, I'm probably going to stay home for a couple weeks. And there's one thing that you know about me is everything you ask me, I always say yes, right? So
that's true.
You're like, can you do? Yes. Can you do? Yes. Can you?
You're going to say no for a couple of weeks.
I am going to say no for a couple of weeks.
Love it.
And I'm going to take a nap during the day and, stupid stuff like that to rejuvenate my body and my mind. And then probably sometime November 15th-ish, I'll be back in the saddle and do it all over again.
Back in the saddle.
Yep.
I love it. Well, I can't tell you how much I appreciate what you've done for our members. They love you. I'm getting emails, ecstatic emails from the members. I've even got a little surprise for you when you get up there to speak. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and best of luck to you with your saying no for a while and giving yourself a little rest.
I can't thank you and your members enough. I mean, you've been so hospitable to me, and it's been a huge part of my success. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll talk again next time.
See you.